Now it's on to Eric, who's going to talk at us a little bit more about games.
All right, so last week, I don't know who all's here that watched last week, but or if you've gone back and seen our episodes on YouTube, the uh, thing I'm going to touch on this week are two games, one of which is a pretty popular game that's an exclusive for the Xbox. The other one is one that's coming out that just was announced at Gamescom. First one we'll go ahead and talk about is Forza 6. It's a very popular game on all of the Xboxes. They've been on 360, they're on Xbox One now, and they're mainly known for just their amazing graphics and realistic gameplay, whether that be between using clutch with a manual to actually having you don't know if it's a real picture or the game. So with the Forza 6 that's coming out, it comes out on the 15th of September. Um, I just seen a thing that they released at Gamescom where they're now going to be having racing in rain or shine, which is new for them. They put rain into the game actually to where basically they had to get help from an actual indie driver to help them with the rain. They have 148 surfaces they had to put rain onto, and the rain is in 1080p, 60 frames per second, and that's at 24 cars on the track. So that's absolutely phenomenal if you actually see the video. So with that one, before we touch on something else in regards to Forza, with this being an Xbox exclusive, and especially with the way that these graphics are heading for these games, um, what do you think that this really holds in the future of not just racing games but all games in general, with their graphics, their pioneering in regards to putting it into rain or shine and actually having the rain make a difference?
Well, I think it's phenomenal too because each game that comes out steps up the bar, in my opinion. Each year they're increasing the graphics. Like last year, the graphics sucked on what was it, the first Xbox One game that came out, Battlefield 4 or something like that. But anyway,
Right.
you know, this year's games is crazy with the graphics, but it's also costing them more, so they're also spending more on advertising for those games because they got to get those games out there. They've got to tell you about those little things they're doing in the game. Hey, we went here, we filmed it this. It's got 1080p for this here. We can't wait for you to play our game to race on this. It's the little things that they're advertising out, and it's the little things that games have to do now to prove their game's worthy. They can't just say, this is Halo, this is, you're going to play some team deathmatch. We got to say, all right, we did this. This is in 1080p graphics. Look at how these buildings are crumbling. They're good graphics on this. You can do this, you can do that. And it's all about the graphics, it's all about the new engines, things like that. That's how games are promoted nowadays. It's not off the old gameplay that you're going to get from it. So,
Well, see, I agree that a lot of it has to do with graphics, and everybody's trying to push next genier. But I also look at it. A lot of people who play Forza have played all the Forzas. They
hmm
love all the Forzas. At least the people who are like into tuning cars. I know a lot of people that I've talked with, people that you wouldn't expect to play video games, are out there trying to play Forza because it's realistic. Oh, I get to tune up this car, and if I do this, this, and this like I do in real life, it's going to come out the same. And I'm just like, that's never been anything that's appealed to me. So to me, the graphics are a big part. The fact that they do have new systems that are going to like actually mess with the physics of the game, where you're going to have a sticky track or a slick track based on whether it's hot or cold or rainy or sunny or whatever. I think that's a great innovation, and the people who like racing games are going to eat it up, and the people who like good-looking games are going to eat it up.
hmm
But it's one of these things. There's only so much that you can do to a game like that that's gonna make me go, huh? I really want to play that. I'm more of an arcade racing style. Sion said in the chat that he's going to stick with Horizon. I feel the same way. Even though I'm not going to play many Forza games, I would like Horizon better because it's more of the arcadey type, more like a Need for Speed type.
yeah.
hmm Now, I mean, whenever I think of it, I mean, I've played all the Forzas. They're the games that get to the point where I'll play them a lot, and I'll switch the cars up and make them look how I want, and I spend more time painting them than I really even do racing.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I can get in there and I can customize a car, and I could be like, I'll never own a GTR in my life unless I win the lottery. But by God, I've got one on here in 2 hours of playing, and now I'm gonna make it look exactly how I'd want to whenever I have one. So, it it's one of those things that I kind of lose interest in the game, and it's one of those I'll play it for like a week, I'll kind of get out of it for a bit and I'll come back and I go through spurts of wanting to play it or not. Which this one might be a little bit different because it's a little bit more unpredictable. Because I believe they use the weather in Forza 5, they would actually get the live weather from the Weather Channel, and they should be using this like they are in the old game. So if it's raining in Germany and you're on, Nürburgring or whatever, it's going to be raining there. So I think that's a pretty cool aspect to it too. So like if I was actually there racing, this is what I would be dealing with. Um, Next thing I'm actually going to talk about in regards to Forza 6 now. This might not appeal to Seth so much, but Steven, I don't know about you, but collector's editions I feel kind of get into the same boat as special edition Xboxes. So they're making a Forza 6 edition Xbox. The cover on Forza 6, if you've seen, it's a new Ford GT, the standard Ford cobalt blue with the darker blue racing stripes. Now, they modeled it off of that Ford GT, which is their cover. And I was looking into this, and this is a really cool new Xbox that they've got. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive, which is ginormous. It's not so big if you own a lot of games, or if you're me who only keeps 3 to 4 games at a time with 2 or 3 downloaded. It's huge for me. It's going to have a lot of new features with these that the other ones didn't. It's actually got the button on the front, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen. It's not an actual touch button. It's an actual button that around it says start and off, like the, push to start on a car. Whenever you turn it on, makes the sound of the Ford GT starting up. When you turn it off, it makes the sound of it shutting off. The disc tray is kind of like, it's kind of bland for me. I didn't really get, I understand it, but I don't understand it. The disc tray, when you open it, instead of it making a ting noise, it makes an actual, like a, one of the guns that they use to take lug nuts off tires, which means cool and all, but I could deal without it, or I could deal with another noise. I could deal with like a car door shutting, if honestly. But so that's something about that. They've got a few other neat little things about it. They've got like a badge on the side where it's their 10-year anniversary for Forza, actually, for this release. It's got a little badge on the side. It's got the stripes on it. It basically looks just like a Ford GT. So talking about this special edition Xbox, how do you guys feel that, what Forza is doing right or wrong with this? Do you think, because they've not done anything like this before, do you think it's going to bring in a large group of people who are going to buy it? Now, before you answer that as well, I'll just tell you that I made a joke to where I'm going to sell my current Xbox and clear up room on a credit card to go ahead and get the new one. Because, it comes with a blue controller, and it's just awesome. But I'm a sucker for special editions. That's all I've owned, except for this one and the Arcade Edition 360. They've all been special editions. But what do you guys think that they're doing right with actually making a special edition now for this and having it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I've seen it. I didn't know it was doing all the stuff like with this actual physical button and the disc tray. I just saw it in passing. But I love everything about the blue Xbox with all this stuff coming out, the special sound effects. I love it. And I'm kind of the opposite of you, Eric. While I always love the special editions and always look at it and say, man, the Halo special edition looks really cool, I'm not going to go out and get one because mine works just fine. Now, that's not to say that I didn't consider getting the Destiny Taken King PS4 just recently, even though I have a perfectly good PS4. But that's something different. I like Destiny pretty well. But,
Well, you're obsessed with Destiny, so there's a huge difference.
yes, true. But it's like with the Xbox One, I'm kind of attached. I get attached to my physical possessions because especially with this, it's something that I paid for with my own money. It's something that I went out and worked and got, and it's kind of got a special place because it's also the day one. I've got the box still. I've got everything with it. I've got the day one controller. I don't use it anymore. But this one is kind of special, and until it just 100% breaks down or just red ring of deaths, whatever, yeah, I'm probably not going to do anything with it because I would rather it not get broken, not get torn up. I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to hold on to it and cherish it forever. There you go, Eric. I can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
But
Stand back.
It's not going to be one of those things where I'm going to rush out and buy it because, again, I even have a blue controller. Now it's the Midnight Forces edition. It's not going to be the same as a blue Forza controller, but it's not something that I'm rushing out to get just because, it's a special edition. It's got fancy colors. I appreciate what it's doing, and if I ever have something go wrong with this one, I'm not above trying to look for it. But I just really like the concept more than I like actually going out and spending money on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm the same way. I'm a tightwad, like I said. Like y'all know my 360, it was dirt trash, and my controller was dirt trash. Had dog marks chewed all over it. The half the yeah Eric knows half the thing was taken off of it. The controller analog stick, but that Xbox sounds pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie on
Yeah,
that one.
sounds
Uh,
like a jet ticket.
yeah, like I honestly I would totally go out and buy that one just for those components. Like that's out
Hmm.
of the extreme. Like
It's
everything they're doing with that. Like you turn it on. What'd you say it sounds like when you turn it on?
It starts up like a Ford GT and it turns off like a Ford GT.
Oh yeah, I could totally go for that one. Especially if it sounded like a GTR or something like that.
yeah.
Hmm.
That'd be pretty sweet. But anyway, uh, would I necessarily go out and buy it right now? No, not necessarily right off the bat until I heard what it sounded like, what kind of reviews it got, because they're putting a lot of new technology into that Xbox. So why would I go out and buy a whole new Xbox that could be broken when I could just use mine? So
Yeah.
True.
Now, yeah, with that one, because I mean, I've had to go through them. I started with a regular 360 in arcade, an arcade edition. I've had a Modern Warfare 2 edition. I had the Halo 4 edition. I had the Star Wars edition, and now I mean, I don't have a 360 now, but you can see my track record in wanting to get these just because that's it's something different. It's something that not everyone's gonna have, and I'd love that to be able to sit there and look at it. Now,
Hmm.
moving to the next thing that we're going to talk about, Stephen, and before we started this, and I was kind of hinting at it, you've not played these games. You might not be much of a help, and I don't know if
No.
Seth has either, but new game that just got released for Gamescom is going to be Crackdown 3. Now, I played the first and second Crackdown with my brother when I first started playing Xbox. It's one of these things that's going to be taking me down a trip, a trip down memory lane. So the third one set to come out in the summer of 2016. They've not given us a date, but they just said in that time frame. The only thing they've released so far is in the general sense of the game, it's going to be classic play in a new city with a new way, is what they said. Which I love the first and second Crackdown. They're some of the funnest games. Now, with that being said, the only thing they've released so far is in the new city. It's called Gangland. There's a criminal hierarchy apparently that has taken over the city, and it's your choice and it's your freedom on how you shut down this hierarchy. Which basically in the video they had a bunch of links coming from one of the criminals to linking to other smaller criminals. So you can just bounce around, taking over the spots and everything, have freedom. Um, Basically, with this, they've only released at the alpha, and alpha video was shown. Now they've released the multiplayer and said it's going to be available sometime, I think, around the summer of 2016 is what they had said as well. But the multiplayer is something very different for a game like this. Battlefield is the only game that I know of, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only one that I know of that has full destruction or almost full destruction of things is Battlefield. This new multiplayer they're putting into Crackdown 3, the entire environment, 100% of it, is destructible. They basically had a video where everyone was just taking rocket launchers and knocking down the biggest building in the city, and it's crashing and taking down a bunch of other buildings. They're shooting, bridges down. It was just chaos, just destroying an entire city. Now, with that being a new game that's coming out, and I know that's a very far time away, and we can't really know what's going to happen, but with games moving to what they are with that to give the players more freedom to do what they want, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for these kind of games?
I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of games nowadays are leaning towards more freedom. I forgot the last MMO that came out that was talking about all freedom. You get to roam here, you get to roam there. You get to do like Witcher 3. You get to roam all across the world. And I think Skyrim is one of those that kind of set the bar for that kind of game. Getting to roam and getting to say, all right, you can do your main quest, but there's also 500 off quests that you can do. And I think gaming companies took that into consideration and said, this freedom will also make our game last longer and things like that. But
Hmm.
for me, Crackdown, I love that game. I bought Crackdown for the Halo 3 beta exclusively, but I also played the crap out of Crackdown 2. Was it Crackdown 1? Yeah, I believe it was the first Crackdown. It was a
Hmm.
long time
Yeah.
ago when I played that. But I really liked it because it was like Grand Theft Auto, but you got to jump everywhere and do things like that. Now, I don't necessarily remember the boundaries of what you could and could not do. I remember it was you could pretty much do anything you wanted to do, but I don't remember the buildings being all destructible, things like that, because that's
No.
kind of a new concept that's happened over the past 3 or 4 years in games. But I do agree on the concept of letting the free roam go because you're going to explore the whole game. So
Mhm.
Well, that's something. The first thing, and like you said, I've not played any of the Crackdown games, but like the first thing that you said when you mentioned that there was going to be fully destructible environments, there's going to be like a chain of enemies that you can take down however you please, whenever you please. Like the first thing that popped into my mind was the PlayStation 2 game Mercenaries. I don't know if either of you have played that, but I played that like it was my job when I was like 10, 11, 12, and I absolutely loved it. So if it's anything like that where you can like run around and just have all this freedom, you can go blow stuff up, you can tear down buildings, you can do anything you want whenever, there's a good chance that I'm going to buy it, especially because it will give me kind of that nostalgic feeling. It won't be the same because it won't be the crackdown nostalgia, but it'll still be nostalgia in that I can go through and I can tear stuff up and do whatever I want in a somewhat realistic environment. And I absolutely love just being able to say, "Hey, see that building? Gone."
Yeah.
right now,
So these are. Oh, go ahead,
now
Seth.
is Crackdown an exclusive Xbox One game?
If I'm not mistaken, the first two were exclusive.
Mhm.
So I don't imagine why this one wouldn't be. But these last two games I've said from their previous, I know that Forza is going to be, but from their previous reputations, they are going to be Xbox exclusive. So that's one thing that we can kind of play into the next topic, which Seth is going to talk about. Now, before we go on to Seth, just want to give a quick shout out to Scion and Dak Gamer. Thanks for the follow, guys. Make sure to keep tuning in for us.